All right, mixing things up a little tonight, I'm joined by Sky's political editor, Andrew Clennell, who's standing in for Dennis Shanahan. Andrew, welcome. All attention, yours and mine, on WA today. The PM's there, the opposition leader there, both, though, with very different agendas. The PM's got a cabinet meeting tomorrow in Port Hedland. Tonight, though, a $2,000 a head fundraiser with ministers. And then he's going to kick off a week of action to support The Voice. Peter Dutton is visiting remote communities, a big focus on crime, law and order, and of course this junked cashless debit card. Given the PM's got a plane, and I know how the VIP works, why doesn't he drop into some of these remote communities? I mean, I had a mayor on the program last week saying things are really desperate, grog's back in the community. Why is he reluctant? Give me the politics on this. Is it because the Aboriginal issue is colliding with his voice? Is that why he's sort of reluctant to get into it, Andrew?
Oh, well, I guess he's avoiding bad images and the potential for bad news. He's going to Port Hedland. He'll meet Indigenous leaders there, but I take your point. One of them's at a fundraiser. The other one's going to Leonora and Laverton. Peter Dutton gets all the good jobs, I guess. He's got some hard work and some hard sights to see. And for Anthony Albanese, all he'll see is a welcomes. Not that Port Hedland isn't a rough old town at times, but it doesn't have the issues those other communities have. So there's certainly a contrast there, and I'm sure Peter Dutton's keen to highlight that contrast.
Well, let's go to Aston, Victorian electorate, outer ring of Melbourne, very suburban. We'll take you out, my viewers, I'll take you out to Aston in the next few days. Speaker Milton Dick, he has said today they'll go to the poll on the 1st of April. It's not lost of me, of course, the 1st of April is April Fool's Day. I suspect the poor people of Aston feel a bit like fools. This is their third election in 6 or 7 months. Labor's running the previous candidate from May last year, Mary Doyle. The Libs have got a field, I think, of it 4 now, 3 women, 1 bloke. The bloke at the end there, Emmanuel Cicello, is the only true local out there, and a pretty parochial seat. Mary Doyle, of course, Labor's candidate, is a local. There's a real push going on, Andrew, for a rank and file, so a local pre-selection, but the time's pretty tight, isn't it?
It won't be happening. We'll know the candidate within 24 hours, Peter. It'll be decided through the administrative committee. They need to get someone in the field, and it won't be that bloke, local or no local, because Peter Dutton's made it clear he wants a woman. He thinks that's his best chance in the seat, and it will be one of those 3 women, as simple as that. But we'll know the result of that soon. This is shaping as a real nail-biter, probably like Eden Monero, which of course we covered, where it wasn't even known on the night, but it became more clear the next morning. I know at that time there were COVID difficulties with the count. The last few by-elections in these sort of situations have been tight, whether they've been opposition seats or not, but generally the opposition triumphs, and that's what I'm expecting here.
What's interesting, though, if you look at the recent by-elections, a lot of them have all been bellwether/marginal seats. That has been the trend. I think that's why they're tight. And this one was incredibly important in 2001. Of course, it was on the cusp of an election. We're not on the cusp of an election now. But I think cost of living is the issue that will be the narrative at the next election. So this will put a shot in the arm of whomever can win this by-election. If they both run on cost of living, that will then be seen as basically the stamp of who the voters trust more on this issue.
Well, I think it's an easy one for the opposition in a sense. I mean, they just say send a message, you know, it doesn't change government. It'd be handy for Labor to get up to a 78th seat in that House, wouldn't it? But they don't think it's going to happen. They're giving themselves every chance because on that sort of margin, 2.8, why wouldn't you, particularly when you're 55-45 in the national polls, particularly when the Labor Party, its strongest state is probably Victoria. So you would certainly give it your best shot, but they're seeing it as a bonus if they can win it, whereas Peter Dutton really needs to defend it. It will help his leadership to defend it, but I expect that to happen.
I also say an adjoining state seat there to Aston is the Premier's seat of Mulgrave, so I think it'll be activist central out there on the ground with the warring camps in that by-election. New South Wales, I know you know it well from your former life at the Daily Telegraph. A shocker of a week last week for the New South Wales government. Not a whole lot better for Labor, I might add. Let's start with Peter Poulos, Upper House Liberal. He's now gone from the shadow ministry, from the ministry, not shadow ministry, parliamentary sec. He's gone. He is now disendorsed or suspended as a Liberal, meaning he can't run under the Liberal brand. I'd be interested to know, will he run, do you think? And the talk about then his replacement, the retiring Transport Minister David Elliott, well, retiring because he's lost his seat, he's putting his hand up, but Matt Keane has already said thanks but no thanks. He wants a woman. Andrew, give me a take.
Well, I think it will be a woman. I don't think David Elliott has the numbers, and there's still some eyebrows raised about him telling Dominic Perrottet about the Nazi uniform. I know he said he was just warning him when he said, oh, the rumour is you've got a photo of you in a Nazi uniform at your 21st, but there are some eyebrows raised around the place in relation to that. Peter Poulos was an internal hit. Some of the other hits that have been happening with Damien Tudor-Hope and Terry Campese on the Labor side have basically been both sides saving up their dirt files and throwing it at the other side. Very New South Wales politics, I have to tell you, Peter. But yeah, they're dropping like flies at the moment, aren't they? But ultimately, I guess if there's scalps on both sides, it doesn't affect too many votes. Unfortunately for Dominic Perrottet, though, when you're in government, it does make you look like a bit of a rabble, and it's got a bit of those feels of just before Labor lost office in it, to be honest, losing Tudor-Hope and Poulos in a week.
Yeah, but despite all of that, I agree with you, there's sort of a pox on both their houses at the moment. What about those internal polls you reported yesterday, showing the government's still got a fighting chance, though? That's
my understanding. I was reporting this yesterday. I mean, you never know when you're being spun too hard. Labor are very confident, I have to say, of getting either a slight majority or winning in minority. The government believes that it's probably lost 3 or 4 to Labor, which means minority government for sure. The fact that it's close, by the way, means if a few big things happen last week, this could change. And that's why both sides will be working hard for that. But as far as the coalition is concerned, or at least my sources, they can't count to the 8 that Minns needs for majority, 8 or 9. So it is very tight. Labor are the favourite. Labor minority or Labor majority are the most likely outcomes, but the coalition would be hoping that they can form minority government if they can keep it to those 3 or 4 that they see themselves as definitely losing at the moment.